story of the future of men is the story that's emerged over the last 3 years, really since the election. It's a increasing inward turning of young men especially into themselves, searching for themselves, because society is increasingly sending them conflicting messages. One message they're getting is to be more sensitive, more vulnerable, more emotional, more recognizing the importance and needs of advancing women's rights. And the other message they're getting is from the polarized opposite, the angry men's movement, personified by Donald Trump, which is a backlash against all the things the women's movement stands for, and all the things many young men have grown up with in fatherless homes, with their teachers being women, their classmates being women, in a more feminist society. So the book, has it had the impact, I'd hope, on individuals, on people who have read it, on mothers and their sons, wives and their husbands, women and their boyfriends? It's had a very positive impact on those who have really recognized its value, read it, and responded to it. But in terms of the greater impact on society, I think I came out a little too early.
Okay. So just before the tide had really turned and people recognized the need for this type of thought.
Yeah, so now others have stepped up into that vacuum, and the future of men has proven to be the future of men. Now it's the reality of men. So I'm looking at it and I'm approaching the story now in a different way.
All right. Now, what about the book do you feel contributes most to the success that it has had so far?
It's honesty. The book, The Future of Men, is an incredibly honest book. I mean, the first chapter is Men Are Even the Good Ones Bad? Again, that was 2016, before the Me Too movement. Right. Chapter 6 is Deny, 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 Men's Destructive Instinct to Lie. We really get into the realities of the challenges women have with men and that men have with men. And that's been the most positive impact. When people read the first 44 pages of the book, the first 6 chapters, women see the men they know, men see themselves or other men they know. We see our own lives. So it's a very honest portrayal of the realities that gender relationships are experiencing right now.
Okay, and in the book you somewhat predict the Me Too movement. Do you feel that the book shows us or tells us anything else that the future might have to come?
The book predicts the Me Too movement in the context of just recognizing that social media, the internet, that men's hidden truths for decades are going to be increasingly exposed, and that women are moving into a stage where they're becoming increasingly powerful and empowered to try to right the wrongs that have been done over decades, if not centuries. I think right now, in terms of looking at the future, we're looking at a future where young men are being asked to pay reparations for the past history of their fathers, grandfathers, older brothers, and it looks at the reality of how women are becoming more dominant in business, in relationships, in culture, in society, and the struggle that young men are going to have to find their place in that society.
And do you feel that there's a limited amount of new advice for young men versus the amount of new advice for young women since feminism?
There's absolutely a lot of mentoring for young women. There's a lot of support. There has been for decades. The women's movement has been incredible in providing a sense of empowerment and the right to expand beyond the traditional role of women. Men have not been given and are not being given that same kind of counseling, that mentoring, that support. The scary thing is that they're being provided that mentoring and support by the Angry Men's movement, by books like Jordan Peterson's 12 New Rules for Life, which is basically an alt-right manifesto for a continuation of male dominance. We really need to look at new models. My focus is on 8 rules for reimagining masculinity through emotional intelligence and learning emotional intelligence.
And how would you define emotional intelligence?
Well, emotional intelligence is having respect. It's listening, not just in an argument, not just thinking about what your next argument is, but actually listening and processing. It's learning to be more vulnerable, more open to others. But primarily, it's really being going into yourself and what your heritage is, what your upbringing was, what your parenting was, and understanding how much of our current attitudes, beliefs, perceptions, responses are driven by those early learnings, and to get in touch with those early learnings and understand the impact they've had on us so that we can relate in our lives in different ways that understand the foundations of our responses and to develop new ways of responding, listening, and being open to others.